Hey everyone, good morning. I'm out here on the mountain this morning and it is absolutely beautiful. You might see some bighorn sheep here behind me. They found me this morning, which was pretty cool. I was out here working on some other projects and there's a couple bighorn sheep up here and they just kind of came out of nowhere and found me. So I love it when that happens. So you might see a few passing behind me here in the background. You know, as a wildlife photographer, I'm constantly on the lookout for tips or things that I can do to improve my photography. I love getting advice from other photographers, as that always helps. And there's so many videos out there from other photographers that give you the best tips, things that you can do to improve your photography. So in this week's video, I wanted to give you some tips of my own to help improve your photography, but these are going to be tips that you probably won't find in those other videos. These are going to be some of my top obscure tips to improve your wildlife photography. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the first tip that I have for you this morning isn't going to make any sense once I say it, but stick with me, hear me out. It will make sense once I'm able to explain a little bit further. So obscure tip number one to improve your wildlife photography is turn your camera off. So you're probably asking, okay, Jimmy, how is turning my camera off going to actually help my wildlife photography? Knowing animal behavior can greatly improve your wildlife photography. Sometimes we just get so focused with our eyes stuck in the viewfinder of taking picture after picture of a species that we miss a lot of behavioral cues, whether that's of the animal we're taking pictures of or another off to the side that we're not even looking at, again, because our eye is just stuck in that viewfinder. So turn your camera off and spend some time familiarizing yourself with that species, especially if it's one that you're unfamiliar with or an individual within that species. By doing so, you can learn its habits, tendencies, different behavior that can help you determine what an animal is likely to do before it does it. By knowing this information, you can ensure that you'll be in the right place before an animal does something specific that you're hoping to photograph. That way you can get the picture that you're hoping to get. Let me give you an example. This summer, while out in Alaska photographing bears, one of my goals was to photograph a bear standing up on its hind legs in the water. Each day, I saw around 40 different bears, many of them running through the water, fishing and playing. Rather than just start taking photos right away, I would take some time during each encounter to observe the bears around me and look for the specific conditions and cues that would indicate the behavior I was hoping to photograph. Finally, I was able to get my desired photo, and I don't believe I would have had I been so consumed in taking pictures rather than observing behavior around me. This is a tip I've used when photographing owls, foxes, ducks, otters, and so many other species. If you want more specific examples, I'll link another video where I've talked a little bit about this tip in the description below. Obscure tip number two to help improve your wildlife photography: zoom out. This is pretty much opposite from what most other photographers are going to tell you to do. Most people will say, zoom in as close as you can, get that crazy sharp detail in the eye and a full frame image of the animal. Yes, wonderful tip, and it has its time and its place in wildlife photography. But I found over the years that zooming out from a subject can create just as fun images to look at as zooming in does. Zooming out from your subject in wildlife photography can help you accomplish a few things. It can help you create more compelling images for the viewer to look at. It can help you familiarize yourself with different camera settings or photography techniques that you wouldn't be using otherwise. It adds more dimension into your photos as it naturally includes more of the animal's environment in which it lives, and it can give a greater sense of wilderness to your images. So don't just get stuck in the habit of zooming in as close as you can to the wildlife that you're photographing all the time. Again, that has its time and place, but once in a while, zoom out from your subject and put your creativity to work. The next tip is another one that kind of goes against what other photographers are going to tell you. That is, shoot no matter what the light is like. Other photographers are going to tell you to limit your shooting to the golden hours or to always have the sun at your back when photographing wildlife. But let's be real here. In wildlife photography, we can't control the conditions in which we shoot or what our subject decides to do. But what we can control is how we utilize the conditions that we have to work with at that time. So instead of limiting yourself to the perfect conditions, master techniques like using backlight, sidelight, highlights, creating silhouettes, and using sunbursts. You can even photograph in the harshest afternoon sun using heat waves to help your image tell a story. Now please don't get me wrong on this point. I'm not telling you to only go out in the afternoons when the light is harsh like it is now, or to only photograph wildlife in less than ideal lighting conditions and hope for the same quality of images that you would get in perfect lighting conditions. If it were up to me, I would always have the perfect light when photographing wildlife, but that's just not the case. So instead of limiting yourself to the perfect conditions when photographing wildlife or turning your camera off when the light is less than ideal, learn to master new techniques, put your creativity to work, and shoot no matter what the light is like. I would love to hear from you. What are some tips or advice that you have for a new photographer or an experienced one on how to improve your wildlife photography? We're all here to learn together, so let us know in the comments below. I love learning from you guys. Some of these tips and many other tips are things that I've touched on in other videos before, so I'll put links to those in the description below, and you can go check those videos out if you haven't already. I'm about to embark on such a fun adventure, one I've been looking forward to for a couple of years now, and so look forward for those videos in the next couple weeks here. I'm so excited to get out to an area that I haven't been to for a while and hopefully photograph some new species that I've never photographed before and photograph some others that I really haven't had a whole lot of time to focus on before. So again, keep an eye out for those videos in the coming weeks here. I'm so excited for this next adventure. Thank you so much for following along this week, you guys. I always appreciate the support. We'll see you next time. Gotta find those bighorn sheep again.